I'm Kyoka, the Awkward Black Nomad. I'm a writer, I'm a dog mom, and I travel solo. Lately, we've been talking a lot about a show called Coming From America. It's basically where these Black American families go to Africa to relocate and just end up struggling. Now, this episode was actually pretty good. In lieu of the Smiley family being around, they showed us the Joneses. So that is Tony and Ayo, the family who has lived in Ghana for a few years now. And it's just nice to see a depiction of people who got it together, who are really involved in the culture of Ghana, and it was a breath of fresh air. So I guess we'll start with the Joneses. Actually, we'll talk a little bit about the Joneses and the Kellys because a lot of their scenes were together. Basically, the Joneses have a big decision ahead of them. They are trying to decide if they want to stay in Ghana. Tony, the husband, he talks a lot about how in America, as a Black person, you're seen in a bad light. You know what Kanye said, you still a nigga in a coop. And it's regardless of status, it's regardless of intention. A lot of the oppression and racism that we face in America, you don't really, it's not that bad. It's different. It's a different experience when you leave the country. So I can understand that. He talks about how when he got to Ghana, he wasn't Black anymore. Now we've heard Africans say this. I've definitely heard an African person say this, like, I'm not Black. And I think it's because everybody is Black, so you don't have to be Black. Do you understand what I'm saying? In the US, we almost culturally have had to take the image of our Blackness to our chest. So we are actively combating negative stereotypes that are associated with Black people, Black American people. And because of that, we're always trying to turn it on a head. We're always trying to, my Black is beautiful movement, just a lot of things, Black girl magic. We have to use that language to conjure up positive imagery that surrounds Black people, because there's this idea that Blackness isn't beautiful, that Black lives don't matter. So this is a response to a white supremacist, patriarchal, capitalist environment. So basically their family they've been in Ghana for a long time, and Ayo, the wife, is ready to go back home. She wants to see her mom. She has one parent left and she wants to spend time with her mother. I totally understand that. But at the same time, her husband is struggling because he's thinking, listen, the idea of me going back into the US, I don't see it. And I get it. After being in the US now being back in the US for how many months? May, June, July, August, September, October, November. 8 months I've been back in the US. It's a struggle. It's different when you leave for a while and then you come back. It's like you can see the cracks in the foundation almost. I think I can't remember if they mentioned this, but I do think a lot of the differences in opinion, I'm sure she's conscious of this, but Ayo is a light-skinned Black woman, maybe biracial, I'm not sure. So obviously her reception in the US is going to be a little bit different than her husband, who is a darker brown-skinned man. So that is something to be in consideration of, right? They're having different experiences based off of how they look in the US. I'm sure they have different experiences in Ghana based off how they look, but that comes into play. We also hear Ayo talking a lot about some of the struggles that she has getting adapted to life in Ghana. So I thought it was really interesting. You have to go to each person to buy stuff. So like she went to the bread man. There's a fruit lady that she could only buy what she can carry. And she talks a lot about how they don't really keep the fridge. I mean, they had a lot of stuff in that fridge, but they don't keep the fridge as packed as they used to in the US, because you really can only buy what you need right then and there, because you may lose power, right? And then all the stuff you have in your fridge go bad. And so I think that was interesting in comparison to the Smiley. So we know one of the complaints that Elaine Smiley was having was that the fridge was too small. So she would buy things, and that her groceries were very expensive. So obviously they're in two different countries, but you have to adapt in a way. You don't have your car, you don't have the big fridge anymore, so you can't overbuy. And I mean, sometimes that isn't a bad thing. You're only buying what you need. And unfortunately, that means you have to go to the grocery store more often than you typically would. But it was interesting to see. Having to go to different people just to get one grocery trip is like a whole day. And so she said she hates going grocery shopping. Some of her other issues were not being able to buy a bra. Are we still wearing bras? Drop down in the comments and tell me, are y'all still wearing bras out there? And like the video, please. But obviously losing power is an issue. Losing water sometimes is an issue. So yeah, there's an adjustment. It's harder. She mentions that her children are getting an authentic educational experience. I mean, and I'm sure this is something they've talked about, her and Tony, but shoot, in the US, we might not be having any educational experiences. At least if your kids are homeschooled, you can teach them what you want to teach them. And then I think it's also very impactful, the education that they're receiving from life being in a new country. I will say, when the Joneses got together to meet each other for dinner, let me tell you, if I meet you for dinner and you don't gas me up like that, if I don't make your head turn like that, don't speak to me. It is crazy, the juxtaposition between a marriage that is working and the ones that are not on the show is insane. Because at this point, the married people, we've had a scene where each of the couples go on a date, and from the Smileys to the Kellys to now the Joneses, one of these things is not like the others. Just saying. I think it was adorable. You could tell that they have a good marriage. I think that them deciding whether or not to go back to the US isn't a deal breaker, because you can tell that they still love each other. They said that they weren't each other's type. I think that's so cute. They don't have things in common. He slick called her ugly when he first met her. You see, if men don't have nothing, they gonna have audacity. But I think he was just playing with her, but still. But it was just like it was an adorable scene. In contrast, Gerald Kelly comes up with this idea that he wants to repropose to his wife Lamara, and that was a train wreck. It was a beautiful setting. They went on to the beach. He got a saxophone. They was gonna do something with a horse. The table setting was really, really nice. It looked very romantic. But Lamar don't want that man. Lamar don't want that man. When you watch the episode, look at her body language. Look at her face. She had on these big sunglasses, but you could see on her face that she don't want to be bothered with that man. Hang it up. I don't know if are they still married? I don't know. That chicken looked good as hell though. That food they was eating out there, I knew it was good. It looked good. That food looked good though, I will say that. Also, while I was watching the show, I'm gonna put a clip in the video. My dogs are from New Orleans. They love a saxophone. It is so annoying. One of the things Lamar asked for in her relationship is respect. Mutual respect and support. That's not crazy. These are not crazy requests. I just wish they would talk about their issues sort of head on. If we're going to have to watch this and y'all are gonna constantly say, okay, we having marriage issues, put a name on it, be specific. What kind of issues are they? What's going on? Tell the people, because you're telling the people something, but you're not telling the people everything. You know what I'm saying? Realizes that he wants to save his marriage because they go visit some poor people. Do you guys know what a magical Negro is? A magical Negro is a literary trope where basically a black person comes in and they teach the main character, i.e. a white person, something about their life. They teach them a different perspective because they are seen as lesser than or disabled in some way or lacking in some way. So the white character or the main character can use them as an example to gain some higher understanding about a circumstance or a situation in their own lives. I say all that to say, why is it that when we actually see the Kellys interact and have an immersive cultural experience in Ghana, it is visiting poor people? I thought I was watching a commercial. I thought they was gonna ask us for $2. He kept talking about his lesson. He's like, don't focus on, he was talking to his son. He was like, don't focus on what you have, give. Well, what did you give? Did you give anything to those people because you're using their likeness and their image on a platform that I'm sure you've been paid for? So did y'all give them any money? Did they have to sign releases to be on camera? What is the purpose of this? And then he telling his son how fortunate he is in front of the people. Like, they don't understand what he's saying. Does that make sense? It was very Caucasian of you. I'm all for volunteering. I'm all for charity. I just think if you're going to go into these people's community, because when we really think about it, right? And I don't know if they've cut anything out, but when we really think about it, you went to this random town. You went into these people's houses just to see how they live. What did you do? What did you do here? Did you help? Did you give them any money? Did you give them any resources? Why y'all didn't bring goats with y'all? Y'all didn't bring any like textbooks? Y'all didn't bring bring tools, bring food, bring something. Like, you went to these people just to show them why y'all had the baby with no drawers on all in front of the camera. What was the purpose of that? What is the reason? What was the reason? And from that, you felt motivated to fix your marriage. They also go to church, and the message is something about love. And he, again, him and Lamar are thinking, oh, we need to fix our marriage. Now, I will say, sometimes when you go to church, child, if I go, but sometimes when you go to church, you do receive a message that you feel like is for you. So I guess so. If y'all had that experience, I guess so. All right. But with them two, I do feel like this whole marriage stuff is being beaten over the head. Either put a name on it or don't talk to us about it at all. So the Davies, we left off with Julia kind of realizing that Accra wasn't the best place for her. So she actually finds a new place called, I might mess this up, Aburi? I don't know. But it's more country, you know, like it's outside the city, lots of trees. You're just out with nature. And she says she chose that location because there's a lot of healers in the area. She thinks it'll be a great place to set up a wellness center. A wellness center in Ghana sounds awesome. Like a retreat. I would go on a retreat, you know, do some yoga. And also, speaking of wellness retreats, if you're looking for a wellness retreat that's specifically catered to Black women, this is not paid, but I have a video, I'll put a picture up of an interview I did with Ty Murphy, who actually hosts wellness retreats all around the world for Black women. She has an amazing program, and she talks about how she caters each experience to the person. And if you're into luxury and you want to travel the world, this is a really great way to do it. You're in a safe environment and a lot of things are taken care of, right? So you can get massages, you can do yoga, you can meditate, amazing. They went to Bali. They actually did go to Ghana. So I'll drop a link in the description box if you're interested in Reset by Design wellness retreats. They're phenomenal. Her sons are not liking it. The middle ones, the twins, they are not liking it. And you know, it made me think about, one of them said, this is great for you. This is something you want to do. And we don't have a choice because this is something you want to do. And it made me think, do Bertie and Frank feel this way? And they can't talk. Are they like, man, this lady is dragging me to all these places and I just want to sit at home with my bone? We really put our children through a lot. We really do, in pursuit of our dreams. So to get the boys acclimated to this new space, she actually sets up 2 meetings. One of them is with a guy called Nanase, who is a healer. And she has a conversation with him about setting up her wellness center and collaborating maybe. And what I don't like is they edit Julia's scenes in a way to make it look like she's giving eyes to every single man who comes in contact with her. And it is not a good look. I don't feel like she was giving I'm attracted to you vibes to Nanase, because she said they were connecting on a spiritual level. So if you're an intuitive person, sometimes you around people here, you're like, oh, this person makes me feel safe, or oh, this person, like, we're having a really great conversation. That doesn't necessarily translate into I want to date this person or I want to have a sexual relationship with this person. It could just be like your chemistry is, you have a good conversation. Do you know what I mean? Am I overthinking this? But I didn't like it. The little let's get it on music and the zooming in on the eyes. I really don't think that was the vibe. Nanace said some great things about how African people, we imprint our will on the universe, breath of life. I was like, you better say that, you better say that. We imprint our will. We don't ride the wave, we create it, like literally. She took her son, I can't remember which son it was, one of the twins. So one of the twins was having a really, really hard time with this new move. And she took him to meet another guy named Joshua Kwaku. I wonder if he mixed. He's giving mixed. He has an accent that sounds, I can't place his accent. It doesn't really sound Ghanaian all the way. He said, and I was like, but his accent sounds interesting to me. He's very fine. That's a fine young man. That is a fine young man. So for him, I do think she was attracted to him. And you could tell because of all that giggling. Now she's a giggly person, but I think she was really giving him the eyes. He was fine. But I loved how he really helped her son be more involved. He was like, okay, you chopping the banana leaves. This is your job. And he actually gave him a machete. I want a machete. Like, I just want to have one to like cut the banana leaves. And he built everything with his hands and like the bathroom. And he does workshops on his land, and it was just very cool. You could tell like this is what he does because of how he was speaking to the son, and then also like, engaging him and being like, let's work on this together, so you can actually see, like you can see the process. They were in the cocoa forest and they were harvesting the cocoa, I don't know what you call them, and they made the paste and they made the cocoa, and then it tasted really good. Being a part of the process really helps you understand like, oh, that's what we're doing here. Oh, I can actually do this. You almost feel like empowered, even though I hate using that word. You feel empowered, like I can do this and I'm making an impact. I'm making something. I like stuff like that. I would have really enjoyed doing something like that. I think I want to more on that later. Next, we see the family go to the canopy forest. They walk across the suspended bridge. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I am afraid of heights. I will not be. There are times where I decide, okay, I'm going to challenge myself and I'm gonna see how covered I am. I'm gonna risk my life today, right? And I only give myself maybe a handful of those moments where I'm like, okay, this is probably, I'm cutting it close with my life. I don't know if I could walk across that suspended bridge. And there's 7 levels and each level goes higher. I think that's what they said. Listen, them bridges don't look like they built to withstand. One of them had a hole in it on the bottom. It was like a little hole with that old wood. Look like you got thumbtacks holding it together. And that net that's not gonna catch nobody. And it's wobbly. I couldn't do that. I'm scary. I'm too scary for that. I might do it. I'm not doing it. We'll see where I am on my list of how many times am I going to risk my life this year. We'll see where I'm at on that list. But the eldest son, Dion, said that as they walked across the bridge, it was like walking across their emotions together. Sounds like a stretch. But go y'all, right? Y'all had a great, powerful bonding experience. I think that was amazing. And then by the end of the episode, the boys were on board with their new place, right? So it all worked out. And I'm happy it did. It looks like they're going to get acclimated. I don't know how they're going to do that in the middle of nowhere, but this could be a great learning experience for everybody. So like I said, this was a pretty good episode. And I liked not having the Smileys. No shade. I can't do the Kellys and the Smileys in the same episode. Y'all doing too much and y'all get on my nerves. But we are winding down. More episodes to come. Probably next week. I did a lot this week. I did stuff y'all won't even see until December this week. So I'm proud of myself. Go me. Which is why you should like the video and support my channel. Let the YouTube algorithm know that you like what I'm saying, that you like this kind of content. Tell the people, tell the world, share the video. If you have not subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel. All right, I'll see y'all later.